Terry Richard, an ex-wife of singer Eddie Fisher, claims that former CNN talk show host Larry King groped her at a public event on 2 separate occasions. She told DailyMail in an exclusive interview. Richard says the groping incidents took place in 2005 and again in 2006, both at a baseball awards dinner at Universal Studios, in Los Angeles. The 63-year-old Richard said in the first incident, while posing together for a photo, King slid his hand down her backless dress and rested his fingers in between her butt cheeks. The photo, during which King allegedly groped Richard for the first time, was featured in a local newspaper and the clipping was obtained by DailyMail. Richard claims the second time was also while they were taking a photo together, and King, now 84, squeezed her butt so hard that it left a large bruise. Speaking from her home in Los Angeles, Richard said, "Larry King is a groper. He groped me twice. He gets a thrill doing this in front of the camera, knowing I couldn't do anything." Responding to a comment request from DailyMail, King's lawyer said Richard's assertion is false. King did no such thing then or ever. Richard said she had met King briefly in 2004 when her and her son had taken a photo with the talk show legend. She said, "At that time I told Larry I was Eddie Fisher's fourth wife and he responded in a curmudgeonly manner, stomping his foot with his hands on his hips as he said to me, 'How did you get away?' Then he added, 'When are you coming on my TV show?' I responded, 'Not until my book is ready.' The first time Larry groped me was early in 2005. I was working as a correspondent for my local Los Angeles newspaper the Tolucan Times and I was covering a baseball awards dinner at Universal Studios. Richard was working the red carpet at the event, interviewing and getting her picture taken with several prominent baseball players, such as former LA Dodgers Ron C., former manager Tommy Lasorda, Major League Baseball commissioner at the time Bud Selig, and former LA County Sheriff Lee Baca, saying they were all gentlemen. She then went inside the gala and saw Jamie McCourt, the former owner of the LA Dodgers, and she was talking to Larry King. Richard said she went up to Larry, who recognized her from their previous introduction months prior. Richard said her photographer wanted to get a picture of both of them together for the Tolucan Times. She said, "We stood there to pose for a photo. I was wearing a very low-cut backless Versace black dress. Larry put his hand behind me on my back and as the photographer was taking our picture Larry slid his hand down from the middle of my back to putting his hand inside of my dress and it ended up with about 3 or 4 of his fingers in the crack of my A, resting in the crack of my A. He just stuck it in. I don't know how he got his hand in there, but he did. I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. I froze. I let out a squelch. Jamie McCourt was standing to the left of us but didn't see anything. She looked at me after she heard my squelch but didn't say anything. I just smiled there real big. I didn't know what to do." Richard says King left his fingers in the crack of her ass for about 8 to 10 seconds. She added, "He had a big smile on his face. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to cause a scene in front of everyone. My reaction was to slap him in his face but he was the guest speaker. It was awful. What really got me was, I'm a wife, my child was at the event, I'm working and I was over 50. So, there's no age limit." The following year in 2006, Richard attended another baseball awards event. She says she saw King earlier in the evening and attempted to avoid him the entire event, but toward the end of the night somehow he was right in front of my face. "My photographer asked us to take a picture together. This time I was wearing a low-cut front Giorgio Armani dress." Richard continued, "I thought since I wasn't wearing a backless dress this time I didn't think it was going to happen again so I posed with him for another picture. I thought, surely, he's not going to do anything this time, and the old dog did." This time, Richard claims that King grabbed her butt cheek with his fingers and squeezed it so tight that later that night when she got home she realized she had a huge bruise, which didn't go away for a week. She added, "When he grabbed me I let out an audible sound, and Larry scurried off. He ran off with his wife down the red carpet towards the limousines. And I just stood there shocked, thinking this must be a thing for Larry. I mean, am I the only one he's ever done this to? I don't think so. It's obvious Larry King has been getting away with this for a long time. Even after 12 years Richard hasn't forgotten what he did." She said, "Because of what happened to me, every time I take a picture with a man that I don't really know, in the back of my mind, for a split second I wonder if I'm going to be groped." Richard says that she would like to have an apology from King. "I haven't seen Larry since the last time he groped me, but if I had the chance to talk to him I would tell him, shame on you. It was inappropriate. Shame on Larry, he has been a bad little boy and he needs to be disciplined. I don't want his money, but an apology would be nice. How would he feel if someone did that to his wife or his daughter? Larry has 2 young sons that I hope wouldn't do what he did. Larry groped me in front of everyone where I couldn't say anything. He gets a thrill doing this in front of the camera, knowing I couldn't do anything," continued Richard. Richard said she finally came forward because of the other women who have been brave enough to come forward with their stories. She said, "When Taylor Swift testified and took the DJ who groped her to court and won, it started a movement among women to say this is now way to treat a woman. We need to teach our young daughters and sons this behavior is not acceptable. It needs to stop. I have son and I've taught him how to be respectful toward women." Richard says she's not even sure King will remember the groping incident and isn't holding her breath for an apology. It would be cool if he did apologize for his actions. Larry needs to take responsibility for his actions.